first time my boyfriend and I tried role playing, it actually ended up not working out because we both wanted to be the pizza guy. Oh my God. How awkward, right? I showed up at his door all sexy and I was like, hello, pizza time. Hello. And then from behind me, I heard footsteps. Turned around, he's right there. He's like, that's right. It's pizza time. And I was like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be inside. And he was like, the question is, what are you doing? Because I didn't see you on the schedule today.
What? I must have put my ads on. I gotta get that money, yo. I think a lot of people start comedy and they rush to like crazy stuff, but I think the first few years should just be like finding your voice and learning about joke structure.
Let's parallel this to actual role playing. Like in high school, you're not like, all right, never had sex before, but I have this idea, right?
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, you got to get the basics down, and then you can start doing the weird stuff.
Totally, and I still don't have the basics, so
yeah,
I gotta be patient.
Can we role play breaking up? Can we let's have a full-fledged fight about this, and then break up, and then you'll be like, wait, I'm locked out right now. Is this part of it?
She lives in the downstairs, but you throw all her clothes out the upstairs window.
Yeah. That's my stereo.
You can't laugh at that.
Welcome to You Can't Laugh at That, the podcast where we take topics that aren't funny and we find ways to make them funny, and the never-ending quest to prove that there's always a way to laugh at that. Always a way to laugh at that. Right, Steve?
Right.
Perfect. Steve Mers is joining us. It's my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Steve Mers, and I have Disney Channel charisma.
You got to do the magic wand like ears thing.
The funny thing about that was like 30% Disney charisma.
Yeah, you need to be bigger, please.
No.
Be big this entire episode, please. And joining us today from New York City is Maddy Smith. What's going on, Maddy?
Hello. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Happy. I thought you were just going to say happy Easter.
That's I already forgot yesterday was Easter, and I don't give a fuck about Easter. No offense to Jesus Christ, our Savior, but not a big holiday for me.
I pretty much, when I realized that the Easter Bunny wasn't real, I was like, oh, okay, so then why are we doing this?
If that's not the first one to go, that's really sad.
That's the big one.
Yeah, you're just like, what are the logistics there? I've never seen an Easter Bunny that large.
Yeah.
I actually think Santa was the first for me to go.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think because my mom's handwriting was the same as Santa's. And I was
She didn't even
did not even try. It was like so Janine's writing. And I was like 4 years old. I was like, okay, I see what's going on here.
You're like comparing them next to each other. You're like,
like I'm the FBI. Okay,
right.
Yeah.
Right. I've always found the Easter Bunny to be pretty frightening. Like the costumes, like the eyes are just wide open, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, they're never cute.
No.
It's always like a weirdo masculine bunny that freaks you out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's not really I don't want that thing in my house either. I don't even think my parents talked about the Easter Bunny. I don't even think we even like tried with that one.
Yeah, it's such a weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they threw a bunch of ideas against the wall and they just picked the first three because nobody was coming up with anything good.
Yeah, 100%.
They're like, all right, rabbit, eggs, Jesus, let's go home.
And it blows the whole lid off the operation, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Maddy you're still on Wild and Out? Is that like still happening?
Yeah, it's still happening. I think there's new episodes airing this week, actually.
Okay, cool.
I think we're filming this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Live audience? I mean, I feel like you have to with a show like that.
I think so. I know that the cast members and crew are doing a bubble. So I think, I don't know. And we have to test daily. So I think so. You can't do that without a live audience.
Right.
I think it's kind of going to be like SNL with the masks and maybe, I don't know. They sent a packet. I actually didn't read it that well.
That's all right.
I was just like, I'm in.
Yeah. We'll edit this out so they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they're doing like the Masked Singer and stuff, and
yeah, they're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So just a short amount of time, and now it's back. I'm glad I get to do like a couple months of stand up before I go back. Because if I had to go back right now, I would be rusty as fuck. Just in terms of like being on stage in front of people and coming up with jokes, I need a little bit of a grace period.
Yeah.
No, you are.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
You're give me a second. Yeah.
No but.
Right. No but. So Wild 'N Out, like how did that come about?
It's a really boring story. I just auditioned and then I got it.
All right.
I'm a roast battler. In New York City. And I did a bunch, so they're all on YouTube because I was on the Roast Masters at the stand and stuff. And I just sent them in, auditioned in New York, and then flew down to Atlanta for more auditions. And then I was on the show. That's pretty much it. It's like literally the most boring story. There's like a video on YouTube where I explain it. And it's like you go down to Atlanta for a week of auditioning where they cut people every day. And then you're just on the first episode if you make it through.
That's cool. That's cool. So like roasting, would you say that's one of your strong suits? Obviously. I mean, if it got you cast on a TV show.
I guess so. I don't enjoy doing it that much though. I just kind of did it and then I kept doing it because other people were doing it. And there was like a roasting peak, it feels like, in the New York scene that I was riding a wave of, and kind of just like snowballed. Like every week people were asking. And then I was in like a tournament and climbing the ranks at the stand. It was very accidental. I would not say it's my passion, but it was just a kind of a way to, I mean, I do like roast, like a birthday roast or a dais roast, but the roast battling is next level, like psychological torture that I think I'm far enough along that I don't really have to do them anymore.
I quit doing roast battles like 3 years ago. I did them for like 2 years. And then it got like crazy, and then I was like done. But it's so much fun to write roast jokes, and it comes easy to me in my style. So
yeah, it's definitely, for me, it's like not, my stand-up is not like roasting at all. Like Eli Stairs is so good because his stand-up is like funny one-liners that are similar to roast jokes, but my stand-up is not like that at all. So I would have to take like days out of my week to write these stupid jokes. And we're fun. It is fun to roast people, but I don't like the fact that they're also roasting you.
Yeah.
It's fun to roast people, but then you also have to have strategy for what they're going to say about you. And if they get momentum, any joke you have will sound fucking stupid against them. Yeah. So there's more than just you roasting them, which is annoying.
Right. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, that's not something that you think about when you first get into doing roasts. Like, because the energy is super, super important.
Yeah.
What you got to do is roast reality, and then you don't have to worry about people anymore. That's kind of like what I already do. So.
Would you say that that style has an influence on the way that you write material, or like, do you keep anything? Really. Do you keep like any of the good ones for if crowd work calls for it?
Crowd work, yeah. I'll be like, you look like you, blah, 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 blah. But that's sort of, I guess the roasting helps with like crowd work because it makes my crowd work can become a little bit more unique than, oh, you look like you've never made her come. You're like, oh, shut the fuck up. But I can get more specific and creative with crowd work than other people who think they're roasting people in the crowd. I'm like, you're not roasting, you're literally just screaming at them and saying he has a small dick. That's not roasting. Roasting, it means you're saying jokes about that person. But there's people who are like, I totally roasted him. I said he had a micro penis. I'm like, that's not roasting. You're just like talking to innocent people in the crowd and making them feel really sad about being come to the. But if it's in a joke form, like he looks like a love child of blah 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 and blah blah blah. Even if it's the easiest road joke, at least it's a joke, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I do think it helps with the crowd work, but in terms of my set, I don't think so. My set is very like personal and long-winded and more just like machine gun punchlines, and the roast jokes are a lot different. I was telling Steven, like, it's a lot different than my set. That's why it's like, it's also kind of like not a waste of time, because it was a very productive use of a couple years, but after a while you're like, I got to focus on stand up.
Yeah. I mean, I assume it helps with some of the joke writing, but there's only so much you can do with it.
There really is only so much you can do. I feel like if you were Sam Morril or something, it would be more helpful, but I'm really good at writing roast jokes for other people, I feel like. And I'm like really good at editing and punching up. But when it comes to my own, I think I'm out of ideas.
Sit this one out. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because I'm sure you hear the same thing pretty frequently when you do that. It's like, yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah,
that's
so many of the same thing. That's why, like, in New York City, there was like a peak of roasting, and maybe it'll be another cycle of it in a few years. But right now, it's like not as hot as it was a few years ago. Everyone who's good at it is like, I can't do that anymore. Because if you're really good at it, you'll lose your fucking mind trying to like write jokes until the very last minute. Whereas people who are just like, this is a fun little thing, won't take it as seriously. But there's a group of people in New York who like take it incredibly
seriously. Everything.
It's everything. And you could lose your mind.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. God, just one-liners I couldn't.
Our scene burned out from it about 2 years ago too.
Yeah.
So, it kind of,
Yeah, you burn out and you're like, if I have the desire to do it again, I will. And then usually you don't.
Yeah.
There's only so many angles you can take until people get bored. It's like, well, this was on the show last week. Let's move on.
Yeah.
2016 to 2018 was definitely
the peak.
That was the range.
Yeah.
Now everybody, we should do them where we're all just super nice to each other.
Yeah.
It got mean after a while. Like people were not funny. They were just extremely mean. And it was just like, this is not comedy. This is just like.
Yeah. You have to release the tension.
People are really mean. And like people are so mean. And then when I got to Wildin' Out, all I knew was like people are really fucking mean. So I said really mean stuff too. But they were like, whoa. I mean, they never said that, but it's like, it's a Viacom show. And there were some jokes on there that I was like, oh, I definitely have a roast battle background. Because Wildin' Out, the jokes are like, you have a flat ass and like she can't twerk. But on roast battle, it's like, you're autistic, you're a fat fucking slut, cunt bitch. And I had to learn how to write more not cheesy, maybe a little corny, cleaner, family-friendly jokes on Wildin' Out.
Yeah.
Is that more of a challenge? Like, do you think that raises your game as a writer more?
I think it's not a challenge. It's more just like stop overthinking and what's the obvious thing, which in roast battles, you're always overthinking because you're like, I want to get them hard. But in Wildin' Out, you're just like, I want to get on this episode. So what can I do? How can I be smart, but also get on the TV?
Right. Right. And that's good insights. In addition to Wildin' Out, Maddy's been featured as a comic to watch at the New York Comedy Festival. She's performed at festivals all over the country, a writer for Comedy Central's Roast of Alec Baldwin, writing for other people. Mm-hmm. And your podcast, That Time of the Week.
Yes.
What's the story with that?
It's just a panel show, but it's all women. So it's kind of like current events, couple roast segments, making fun of each other. I guess it's like Tough Crowd, but with all women and less people. My initial goal was to have me and 4 women, but it wasn't very COVID friendly. And I don't have enough cameras for that. So it's me and two a rotating group of girls every week. Okay. Kind of just to like showcase female comics.
Okay. And that's a newer project that you've been working on?
Yeah, I think we're like 2.5 months in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, everybody's got a podcast, but like if you have a unique take, that's all that matters. Yeah.
Or if you like doing it. Everyone's obsessed with hooks. Just like do what you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, especially now, you got to make as much content in as many ways as possible.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit about you first. What made you start doing comedy? in the first place? What was the moment?
I moved to New York 5 years ago, and I kind of always wanted to do comedy, but I didn't want anyone to know in case I failed, because being funny is like part of my personality. So I thought it would be a huge blow to my ego if I wasn't successful. So when I moved to New York, I was like, I can do this anonymously, and no one will know. And then luckily I did well, and now everyone knows. But that's pretty much it. Another boring story.
That's a good plan, though. The entire city of Buffalo didn't line up after you announced that you were going to follow your dream.
Yeah.
Just wave you goodbye.
I didn't move here just to do comedy. I moved here, and then when I had moved here for a job, I was like, okay, I guess I'm in the biggest city for comedy. I might as well pursue it, post-college. YOLO,
Okay. How was that first time going up?
It was fun. It was just an open mic at 5:30 on like a Monday, and I kind of just like went through the motions. There was like 4 people there, but it was fine. Got a couple laughs, and after that, I just kept going every night, and that's pretty much it. It was fine, pretty much unmemorable. Yeah,
a couple laughs. That's all it takes, really. The first time, like.
Yeah, that's really all it takes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because I did it the first couple times I did it. I have a background in sketch, and for whatever reason, like I love just the stream of consciousness. Like that's how I write. And so the first time I went up, it was one-liners, which is so not like me. But I was like, I'm going to be the next Mitch Hedberg. It's not me, It's like, And so every joke bombed because it was just so fake. It wasn't authentic. Yeah. So it took me a while to get back up, but now
it's hard with the like characters. Because I feel like those people will kind of bomb for like 6 years until they find themselves. So a lot of people get discouraged easily. But I've seen a characters comic ultimately do well because they hone their voice. But if you go up as just yourself, I think you have a better rate of success.
Easier to connect with an audience when you're being yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Easier on you too mentally. It's not as taxing, I think.
Yeah. Audiences just like authenticity lately, I feel like.
Speaking of characters, I think that's a good segue into our topic today, which is role playing, which at its core is really just communication. Because most of the jokes and the bits that I've heard about role playing involve the miscommunication of like, what part is who supposed to play, and like somebody's overcommitting to one role and one person's not a good actor, that's really all that sex is anyway. It's just communicating on a deeper human level with another person. And so you have a clip from it's the Stand. Yeah. I wanted to say Stand Up New York, but that's a totally different. It's like the pink wallpaper in the background.
That's Stand Up New York.
Yeah. So do you want to introduce the clip? We're doing about the last minute and a half of it.
Sure. Just me at the Stand doing a set from, I think, 2019. That's it. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But role playing is hard because you have to do it a few times to get it right. Because the first time my boyfriend and I tried role playing, it actually ended up not working out because we both wanted to be the pizza guy. Oh my God. How awkward, right? I showed up at his door all sexy and I was like, hello, pizza time. Hello. And then from behind me, I heard footsteps. Turned around, he's right there. He's like, that's right. It's pizza time. And I was like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be inside. And he was like, the question is, what are you doing? Because I didn't see you on the schedule today.
What?
I must have put my ads on. I gotta get that money, yo.
For just $67.
Yeah, let him play. Yeah,
you can
let him play
as
through.
many videos as you want,
Please.
and you never need to pick up a camera or use any
There you go.
fancy.
Skip it, I beg of you. Right in the middle of the joke. I had no idea.
And I was like, what schedule? He's like, hello, Domino's? By the way, we're both naked in the hallway. I'm like, okay. can you stop doing this? He's like, all right, fine. Are we going to have sex or not? I'm like, oh, now it's an HR issue, isn't it? So what are we going to do here? You guys have been so fun. Thank you for being here. Give it up for your host.
It was not as quiet as it sounds in the tape, and I was also not as loud as the tape. It's fine because it's a good, like, it conveys the material pretty well, but it makes you seem like you're screaming to an audience who's like mildly laughing.
Yeah. No, that seemed like a hot crowd because like throughout the whole set, they were just, I mean, you were just rolling. Like you did, like you were saying, you're just machine gunning it. And
it was a fun set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're just getting that microphone audio only, right? And not the audience audio. So you just gotta, I hate those kinds of recording. I always try to get the audience separately, but that's like, you have to have the stuff.
I know. Like, I didn't even realize until after, otherwise I would have gotten it. Not the end of the world, but.
Yeah. That's where you tell the joke and then you go like this.
Yeah.
Make sure to try to get it.
Exactly.
I'm recording this. This is important to me.
Yeah.
All right. So,
when I say laugh, you laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I point the mic. So the bit itself, kind of take us through the conception of it. Where did it come from? Inspired by true events?
I don't know. I think it might have been a tweet, but not inspired by anything true. I'm not spicy at all. I'm going to be honest, in the bedroom. So I would never role play, seriously. But other people can. You guys do you. I think it was just a tweet, and then I brought it on stage. And then after a few mics, I had like the act out down, and then it took a few shows to get the whole bit complete. And that was right before quarantine, so I should probably like build on it a little bit, but I haven't yet. But that's pretty much it. Another boring story. I really am, outside of doing stand-up, I'm pretty boring.
You're not, don't worry. You're being self-conscious of anything.
I am,
right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
but that's pretty much, it was just a tweet that I brought to the stage that people like. I really like it because it's like kind of act out-y, but not cheesy. And I like the end is very like, I think that joke was where I was like, oh shit, I can have like a different style of jokes and they'll still go with it. And it feels very like, a little bit more creative. I mean, obviously, like takes on role playing are not that creative, but I guess for me, just like the style was like very motivating for me because I was like, I can do anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think that's the crux of like role playing jokes is that you can take it as far as you want as long as the audience is on board. Yeah. You can incorporate act outs. I mean, you almost have to incorporate act outs in role playing. Like, if you do a role-playing bit without role-playing the bit, it's almost like exposition. Yeah,
definitely.
So you start with the act out. Well, you start with the role-playing is hard. You have to do it a few times to get it down, which is kind of funny in itself. It's like, all right, are we going to rehearse today? Like, is this going to – how does that end?
Yeah, I used to have like a tag, or sometimes I naturally just say it, but it's like if I do debt jokes, because I have a lot of debt, if I do my student debt jokes earlier in the set, I'll say like that's where all that debt came from, was going to school to learn how to role play, something like that. Acting school. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What brings you here? Have you read Uta Hagen?
Yeah.
Like who's that? Is that like a position? Is that a character?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
So the first time not working out, so you set up the scene. We both wanted to be the pizza guy. I mean, that's like that's funny in itself, but it sets the scene again for the rest, so that like when you start doing the act out, people already know what's coming. But then you have that creative freedom to do the sleight of hand at the end that you do, which is fun. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be inside, and then I didn't see you on the schedule today. Like, I love how the audience takes a second, to realize, oh, this is the direction the bit's going.
Yeah. I know. Anytime that bombs, I'm just like, you guys are fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Because like the stand, they loved it. That's like a young, easy crowd of like people with college degrees who live in a city, and they're like so quick. But I did this actual joke in the Connecticut show I did a couple weeks ago, and it like fully bombed until the HR line. I'm like, how could you laugh at that if you didn't even understand what I just set up for you guys? But that's no problem. But if they don't laugh by that I didn't see you on the schedule, I'm like, I'm fucked because I'm about to deliver a few more punchlines and I'm fucked. That's a joke where it's like, if they don't laugh at the pizza guy part and then I'm just doing this act out to silence is like horrifying.
Yeah. It's hard to bail on that because that's like very clearly the first joke in a series of punches back to back.
I know. Yeah, it's humiliating.
It's funny. They don't have an imagination in Connecticut, but they have had a lot of trips to HR. So, so
by then they're like, oh,
I do that.
By then it's like the end of a thriller where you're like, oh, I have to go back and see all the hints.
Yeah,
but it's not supposed to be. It's like right in front of your face. So
let's do a montage, a flashback.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's like Memento.
The whole time. Yeah, right. Yeah. I didn't see you on the schedule today. And that's a simple line, but it communicates a lot more than it just says.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily say like, oh, we're both not supposed to be working. That ruins the joke. I love that tool of like saying something in the obvious thing, but in a different way.
Me too. I think I was talking about this with Andrew, my boyfriend. We were watching like some new sitcom and it was like, you look like the joke was like, you look like a pirate. And Andrew was like, why would you say what you look like? Why would you not say like, you look like you're about to steal gold? Obviously that's also terrible, but like, why don't you say the act of what a pirate would do so the audience can be like, oh, that's what pirates do, Saying someone looks like a pirate is like great.
It's on the nose.
It's exactly. So anything to avoid exactly what I used to in my early days when I was a little greener. We all every girl who dresses a little masculine has a lesbian joke, and I used to say I look like I run a softball league, and of course I don't say that joke anymore because it's hack as fuck. But in my first few years, I was like, that's pretty funny. But yeah, don't say. There's even like male comics who are like, I know I look like a lesbian. Can you think of any alternatives?
I hate that. I hear it so much. By this point, it's really old.
Yes. You always should think of like, is there any funnier way to say this? Which I need to do with like my entire set. But I always roll my eyes when I hear like such an obvious, it's not even a joke. Again, with the like roasting people and you're not even saying a joke, but you think you're the shit.
Yeah. It almost feels like a setup more than anything. It's like, and you look like a lesbian and that's else? It? Okay. Well, I guess you're not going to finish any sentences. So why should I listen to the rest of your set?
Totally. Yes, definitely.
That's always frustrating. Like one of the first things that I learned, when I started doing stand-up was start with the obvious thing, but don't say the obvious thing. Like start from there and then do the next thing and then go one step further. So, oh, you look like a pirate. Okay. Like, oh, you look like you would bury treasure somewhere. Oh, okay. Like, oh, you never get to where you're going on Google Maps because you're always looking for the X or something stupid like that. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
But you're saying the same thing, but in a different way. And
audiences love to put together the rest of a joke too.
Mm-hmm.
But they love like being like,
I got it.
Wow, I could do that.
But there's other audiences that need to be spoon fed though, which sucks.
It's
then
so
you're like,
weird. Yes, it's so true. I did like a Brooklyn show. There was like one night I had like kind of a rough show, and Seton Smith, I don't know if you know him.
I know the name.
He's a veteran comic, really nice, really funny. After my Brooklyn show, it didn't go that well, and I meandered into like hat crowd work. And he was like, "It was good, but for this crowd, you can like go even more specific with your crowd work." So he's like, instead of, and I think I had just come from a club in Manhattan where they were like Midwest tourists, where I could get away with that. Yeah. So every crowd, you have to be like, "Am I going to be smart or am I going to be stupid tonight?" That's the question.
I saw that when I was in New York, the Midwest crowds, or just like, oh, we're all from Australia.
Yes, totally. Versus like a Brooklyn crowd is like all educated, diverse group that you can totally go crazy with and reference like all sorts of stuff. And it's so much more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a crowd like that too, you're trusting them too.
Yeah.
And they like that. They sense that, like you're giving them more credit.
Yes. That like, if you like, yes, within like the first minute, if you like say something like a riff that's like something they know, they're like, okay, she knows.
Yeah.
Test the water. Do you have a way to figure out, say you're the first comic in a lineup, do you have a way to kind of figure out, or you just walk into the show and you're going right up? Like you don't have time to really assess the room. Do you have a way to
I
figure
try
it out?
not to assess the room because that just puts me in a weird place where I'm like already scripting in my head. I should actually probably, because I know some pros are like have their lines in their head.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually, maybe someday I can do that. But I like to go up kind of blindly. And then when I'm on stage, kind of let things unfold and comment on the crowd a little bit in that way. I think I made fun of like, there was like a club I did this weekend. Everyone looked very wealthy. And I think I made commentary about that. And then there was like a Brooklyn show recently where I was like, this looks, I don't remember what I said. I think like the comic before me was doing jokes about being Muslim. And I was like, I went on stage and I was like, I am not meant for this crowd. I live in Queens. I'm a fucking loser. I don't even know what Islam is, like as a joke to my character of like, I'm an uneducated fucking loser. And they lost their fucking minds in a good way. They were like, yeah, she does look basic. I was like commenting on, because it looked like a thrift store, like a Brooklyn crowd that they're all wearing bucket hats and mismatched clothing and they're all like fucking non-binary. And you're like, they're going to think I'm so basic. But I addressed it at the beginning because I was literally wearing Ugg boots. And then they were like, so she knows. And that's when anything you can do to like put in their heads what they're thinking about you without being like, I know I look like a blah, 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 can really help. So.
Yeah. That's, and that comes with time too. It's like, you just have that instinct when you get up there and you can feel that out. I know I always like, I pressure myself. I'm like, oh, this crowd looks like they won't like this joke or like this joke. So maybe I'll skip those. And I get in my own head and it's not like.
You can't, because I've seen like crowds of really cool looking, like I always look at a cool Brooklyn crowd and I'm like, I'm not woke enough for them. And then they don't give a fuck. But I think a lot of comics will see that crowd and be like, you guys are definitely not going to like this. And it's like, well, they won't now. Because you told them that by saying that, you're telling them that they're uptight, like woke with a capital W when they actually just are enjoying their time here.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of judgment on crowds too.
Yeah.
So that's why I try not to. And then if I see a comic before me and it's kind of a tight crowd, I'm like, that kind of helps me to just like go slow and stay like present and enjoy my time up there and not give them any of my emotional weight, I think the worst thing that can happen is you go on stage thinking you're going to crush and then the crowd is like tighter than you thought and you have to like humble yourself within 3 minutes. But
especially when you go out the gate with all that confidence. And then you have to like dial it back because you don't want to seem.
Yes. Yeah. It's you flip a switch, minute 4, hoping you can save it. Sometimes you can, but other times it's like, it's over.
The ship has sailed. They already have their opinions about me.
Yeah, totally.
One of the nice things about comedy is you can just be like, well, I'll just do this tomorrow, or I'll just do this in an hour and it'll be okay again. So
yeah.
And
that's
also,
the thing about, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also it gives you the tools for like next time you hit that same situation. It's like, oh, I've done this before.
Totally. I feel like the most existential bombs I've had when you go to another show where 3 years ago you would have totally ate it and you kind of just have a passable set. You're like, damn, I grew. I'm growing, and that's cool. Yeah. But at the time you're like, fuck, I'm a fucking loser. This is why I'll never make it. But if you use it as a learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's so easy to like bomb and then just be like, I'm the worst. Like, especially if it's the last show of the night and you don't have anything tomorrow or whatever. It's like,
I know.
I guess I'll just fail.
It sucks. You really have to be like, you have to be like yourself more than you like the crowd, and be like, what went wrong objectively, and just be like, all right, well, tomorrow's a new day. Even fucking Bill Burr bombs, and he's a professional. People recognize, everyone bombs. I see famous people bomb, and you're just like, all right, day in the life.
Yeah. If you don't fall in love with the bombing part of it, like you're not long for this.
Yeah.
But you made a point too, when you like accuse the crowd of something, if you're like, oh, you guys are just woke, or like, oh, you guys are uptight, or oh, you guys, like, imagine if somebody came up to you and said that to you. Yes. Now all you can think of is like all the reasons they're wrong.
What? You're like, I went to the beach yesterday. What the fuck? And now they're distracted because of they're like thinking about how unwoke they are. They're like, I say racial slurs in my home when it's okay, you know?
Yeah.
They're thinking of all the ways that they're not uptight, and I see comics do it so much, and it turns audiences off so much. Because audiences don't know what a tight crowd is. They don't know what a bad crowd is. A bad crowd is if literally no one is laughing for the entire show. But we have inflated the term so much because everyone's used to fucking murdering to like laugh, uproarious laughter. So then when they don't get that and it's a crowd with quieter laughter, that everyone's like, what the fuck? And like they spiral. But if you just grow to accept that every so often a crowd will be murderous, but for the most part, they're all like kind of mediocre, then you can appreciate the murderous ones more, and then accept the fact that for the most part, shows can be bad plus, like average plus, you know?
Yeah. Most people exist in the world of polite laughter.
Yeah.
You know, the uproarious stuff, like if you get a few in the room, that can really change the dynamic of a room. Yeah. But yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I've had like Friday night shows at clubs in the city that are like unreal level of laugh. You're like crowd surfing out of there. But then the next Friday is like, you know, the host is like, they're super tight. I don't know what's going on out there. And I'm like, they're not tight. They were just insane last week. And now you're freaking out because you didn't leave with a fucking standing ovation.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't compare crowds.
No.
It's just another obstacle. It's just another part of the show.
Yeah.
For sure. And then luckily you had a hot crowd with this clip, so that you feel proud enough to put it up on your YouTube.
That's weird enough. Actually, that show was the second of the Comics to Watch showcases, and the night before was actually like a really hard crowd, and every comic on that showcase kind of had an existential crisis. And the show that I had on YouTube was like the best crowd you will ever, like everyone crushed. Unfortunately for the comics, the industry, why it was bad was because it was all industry on the first night. And then
everybody's tight.
They crushed the second night, but no industry was there, so it didn't even matter. But that's the hard thing about it. I'm like beyond like a tight crowd, but when it comes to like those industry shows, like JFL auditions and stuff, can really like get in your head for a while too.
That's really interesting to me because we know not to base our performance off of the outcome, like the audience, like the laugh or the result. It's all about like just going up there and being better than your last set in some way. And so then when there's like an audition, like when there's something at stake, all of a sudden we forget that. And like we have to be perfect and flawless. And that's not who any of us are.
It's so bad. And I think it's like humiliating for our brains that we have to audition. It's based on our personality. It's not like an acting or a singing audition. It's like we're up there bearing our souls to no laughter, hoping to get a 5-minute set in Canada in June. And it's like, it's hurtful for everyone involved.
I always liken this to certain people I can't do well in front of in comedy, no matter how many years I've known them. But luckily, they're never the most important people. Luckily, I've had like producers or like people I just admire in the city that are like really that I do well in front of and just feed off of that. Luckily, I am a very cerebral person. I'm in my head a lot. It's what helps me write, but it's what makes me a poor performer sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Having people, there's like a couple people who I'm like, I feel like you've only seen me struggle, and I'm going to accept that fact.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, when you get over it, then it like goes away. It's like this weird feedback loop that unloops itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, I used to like whenever some of the veteran comics, like some of the touring comics would show up at an open mic, I'd be like, oh man, this has to be the best open mic set. And it's, dude, you're an open mic.
Yeah.
Just do what you came here to do. Stop trying to impress people.
They're not going to be like, I'm going to take you on my plane back.
No way.
Come with me. You got moxie,
I'm going to
kid.
leash you up and take you with me.
Yeah.
You can't laugh at that.
Back to your bit. So, like, just like you have to commit to the role for it to really work, you have to commit to the act out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't half-ass an act, like a role-playing act out. I think that would just totally, no matter how funny it is, that, like, what you're saying.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of commitment. Has that been was that something that came naturally, or?
I think the timing of it, I had to work on a little bit. Less half-ass and more, I would always try to close with it, but then I would get freaked out because I hate running the light. So I would panic and like do it way too quickly. And then I would just end on it falling flat because I just barreled through it so quickly. Where you have to give them time. So I guess that's kind of half-assing it.
Yeah, I know. I hate when it's like, oh shoot, I got the light. How long has it been? Shit. I got to close on the best line.
Hate. I always feel like intense pressure, but I don't think I've ever half-assed it. But it is hard when it doesn't get momentum.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that something that was like nerve-wracking, like when you do act outs, or is that just kind of come?
It's nerve-wracking every time I enter that joke because I'm like, I don't know which way it'll go, but if it's a really good crowd, I'm like, I'm excited for this one. But if they're like touch and go, I get a little bit more nervous. But anything with an act out is definitely hard. I actually don't do this joke that much. It's not ever my go-to because I'm like, I just can't right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not a role player. Like, I mean, I loved doing characters and stuff, and I would commit super hard to whatever it was that I would do. But I don't know. I feel like you have to commit to a certain extent when you're actually like doing it, not speaking from experience at all. Steve, are you into role playing?
Yes. No, I have a story I actually wrote in my phone that I want to write a joke about that because I have a true story about role playing. That would be really funny.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I don't want to be a rapist.
Like in the story?
Yeah, that's what my girlfriend wanted me to.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not like full blown, like, well, I mean, obviously, I don't even want to talk about this, but you get where what I'm saying is like, I was like not into it. And I was like, well, that's, so it's not done yet, David. I just wrote it down in my notes.
All right. Jeez.
All right.
You're kind of coming across a little aggressive there.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. But my sarcasm is too dry. Like earlier, David, I did the line that Colin Jost said, and you're like, yeah, totally. And I was like, oh, that was the joke. That was the joke he said on Saturday Night Live. But I said it so dry that it like just came out like the way I would have said it. And you were just like, yeah, definitely. But no, like role playing. Other than that, though, no, I don't have any other stories about it. I don't have any.
So she wanted you to play that role, like she wanted you to like be aggressive, like
basically.
What? I've heard of like the rape fantasy before.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that relationship didn't last very long. But,
no.
Well, she's probably with someone else who likes to do that.
Yeah.
She'll end up with someone who,
Yeah, and there's going to be a real gray area there.
Is that pun intended?
See, it's weird. It's like I want to joke about it, but I'm also not comfortable joking about it. Where it's like, all right, you get what I mean? Okay, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's hard to write jokes about certain topics because you're like, well, how is this coming across to other people? Do they even know me that well? No, I'm not going to tell that joke first in my set because you have to establish what kind of person you are as a comedian. Are you sarcastic? Okay, where's this going? Is this escalating? Those sorts of things. But.
Yeah, I would hold on to the topic for a while. But don't feel like you have to write a joke yet. But it is a funny topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can see where it can be a whole can of worms where it's like, yeah, you can think of that something that is in theory funny, but is it like too sensitive for people? Because it's weird.
Yeah.
It's real weird. Yeah.
Can we role play breaking up? Can we do that? Like,
yeah.
Let's role play breakup sex.
Yeah.
Can we let's have a full-fledged fight about this and then break up. And then you'll be like, wait, I'm locked out right now. Is this part of it?
Yeah. All your stuff's being thrown out the top window.
That's how I would break up with my girlfriend. Just hey, let's do role play.
She lives in the downstairs, but you throw all her clothes out the upstairs window.
Yeah. That's my stereo. Just really commit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Just really commit. So the both being naked in the hallway part. That kind of takes the joke to a little bit more of like a silly, like, oh, maybe this didn't actually happen place with the audience, but they're still on board with it. It's still a funny reveal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now they were picturing something totally different before, and now here we are.
Yeah, just a little hint at what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And then what do you say? Can you stop doing this? This exchange, you say, can you stop doing this? And then he says, are we going to have sex or not? So he breaks character.
Yeah, he's done with it.
So that first line, and that's the way I took it, can you stop doing this? Is like, you wanted them to think that you broke character, but you didn't yet.
Yeah. It's like a little trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that.
This is more thought. I didn't put this much thought into the bit. I want to let you know.
Yeah. No, I know. This is usually the case. Like, we'll bring someone in and I'll be like, ooh, could they have meant this? Like, is this?
Yes, definitely. I'm not smart enough to have the intentions that the joke now has, but I appreciate that I got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you like take an improv class and you're like, I don't get it, but I'll try. And I think it's like an accidental improv scene. It feels like.
Yeah. I just posted it on Twitter. It was like, as the Capitol riots were happening, I was like, relax guys. This is just boys being boys.
Yeah.
And somebody commented that it was like an offensive joke or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then someone else was saying, no, I think it's a great joke because he's just juxtaposing Donald Trump's locker room talk with boys being boys. And I was like, yeah, I was. Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what that was.
Totally. When people like give me more credit, then it's just me writing sex jokes. It's like, commentary.
Yeah, this is great. But the reveal, even though you didn't intend it, like that's how I took it. Like the second time watching it, oh, now it's an HR issue. It's like, oh no, she never broke character, but he did.
Yeah,
so
pretty
like,
funny.
So you win. Like you win. You won the joke. The end.
I won the joke. That's what I think. Yeah, I think the HR issue was like the last point. I think it started with just the back and forth for a while. And then the HR was like a little button that I put on later.
Have you taken that joke anywhere else? Like, have you tried other like role-playing scenarios? See how
Not
it works?
yet. I think I want to maybe add a couple more lines to this joke. Maybe a couple more back and forth after the HR. I don't know how far I can take it until the audience is tired out.
I mean, if it's original, like, again, you have to commit to the, because I've seen jokes where somebody commits so hard where the audience is like, okay, we're good. And then it keeps going and then they're back on board.
Yes, totally. And I have a couple new jokes like that it like goes on, and people like laugh a lot at the end, but it's harder for me for the old stuff because you're like, but it's so good as is.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I just want to keep going with other stuff. But I think I'll add to it at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it might not like end up being this long-winded thing, but you could get a couple good tags out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I hate how if you tell a joke for too long, you're worried that if you try to change it, it's just going to get all like, you're not going to be able to commit to a solid thing. And you need that solidity to like make sure you don't fuck it up, you know, if it's complex, that is.
Yeah, definitely. You want to like have a really good joke, but then you're like also, it's also, what's the word? Appealing to do like, you know, like with the Gary Goldman post office thing, the 5-minute extended thing, you're like, could I take it even that far? And then you're like, I don't think I have the intellectual aptitude. I mean, I guess I could, but you're like, that's a long.
Yeah, it's just, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm too late. That's a lot of writing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stacking the if that, then what.
Right. And then you end up in this alternate universe. Who else did that? There was a couple of late night sets that were like the full thing were like, who was that guy who might be Canadian and he did a late night set where they did the late night set at the same time? 2 different late night sets, like talking at the same time.
I don't know if I'm familiar.
I'm going to see if I can find it right now. And it was like, one of them might have been Nate Bargatze. 8 sets at the same time.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. I just don't remember who did it.
They were like literally at the same time. And I don't know if I can find it by, Rory Scoville and John Dory. So here, I can drop it in the chat. It's not really that worth watching because
I saw it.
After a minute, you're like, I get it. But I think it's is it John Doerr or John Dory? But he had a bit that was like a really long and really funny. I haven't seen him in a while, but it went from one thing to like a bunch of different things. And I think that was the funniest version I saw of that.
Okay. I did a sketch show in New York. I produced it with, what did I do? Brian Inc. He kind of bailed. This was years ago though.
Interesting.
And he kind of bailed, like he kind of got the ball rolling, but then he never showed up to anything.
Yeah. Wait, why am I not surprised at all?
Yeah. But it was a bunch of people from UCB, and we did like auditions to figure out like who was going to be in it. And we wanted a cast of 8. And the one thing that I was focused on in the auditions was like, who's committed to their character? Yeah. Like regardless of what's going on. Like there were some people that would bail in the middle of the character if we weren't laughing or like get nervous. Yeah. But really like the laughs would actually come like at the end as they built.
I love a commitment.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Oh yeah. There was a comic, an open mic comic the other night that I saw, brand new. What he was saying wasn't necessarily funny, but his commitment to the act outs. Afterwards, like he came to the bar, and I was sitting at the bar, and I was like, "Hey, if you like keep committing like that, like keep doing those act outs, and just keep working on your writing, because when your writing matches that, dude, that's going to be unreal."
Yeah, I agree, and I think people early on in those kind of things need to hear that. Because anytime I've told someone like that they're like, wait, really? And I'm like, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of the times they fall off, but
right. You get so disheartened so early because you imagine this like glamour, like I'm like you said, I'm going to be Mark Norman the first time.
Yeah, not at all. I think a lot of people start comedy and they rush to like crazy stuff, but I think the first few years should just be like finding your voice and learning about joke structure.
I mean, the same is true. Let's parallel this to actual role playing. Like in high school, you're not like, all right, never had sex before, but I have this idea, right?
Yeah, so true.
You got to get the basics down, and then you can start doing the weird stuff.
Totally, and I still don't have the basics, so I gotta be patient.
Right. There's not an open mic for that. Just try this out.
There's none. I wish there was.
I mean, you kind of talk about it in your bit. You got to practice a few times before you get it down. I've never really like wanted to do it, but I think the one scenario that I would be on board with is like, it's like in an action movie where we have to like go on the lamb or something, and we're staying at a shitty motel, and like anytime headlights like come through the curtains, it's like, quiet. And and then like, we go in the bathroom and I gotta like cut her hair so no one can recognize her, and then like I mean, just really commit to that. Like if I were to do a bit about it, I think that's the direction I would take. Like
that sounds great.
All the action movie tropes.
Yeah.
I'm in a wife beater for some reason. Like,
sounds perfect.
Yeah, I'll buy a gun for this. Just
for this. Yeah.
Hire somebody to kick down the door and like pay a little extra. Absolutely. Pistol whip me a couple times. Just for good measure.
A couple, yeah,
but it'd be totally worth it for sure. So speaking of commitment, Gary, have you seen either of or heard either of Gary or Maria's bit?
I don't think so. I want to say no. I don't consume a ton of stand-up, which is random that I knew that late night set, but I don't think I've ever seen either. Do you,
is there a reason you don't, like some comics are like, I don't want to accidentally take somebody else's or like have an idea inspire me?
No, I'm just too lazy. I just don't consume a lot of stuff. That's pretty much it. I work a lot, and then when I'm not working, I don't watch YouTube or anything. I just like sit around and eat. Again, I'm super boring.
I get it though. I don't consume things either. Like I don't watch stand up. Plus I'm watching so many people at open mics that get old. Even if what you're seeing at open mics is bad and what's on YouTube is better, or at least you can select good comedians.
Yeah.
It's still just I don't know. I just don't I don't watch TV really.
Yeah.
I watch some things, but that's it.
Me too. Everyone's out here watching every show, every movie, and it's like, and I will be like, oh, I forgot about TV. And we have like a 60-inch TV, and I'm just like, I've gone days without even turning it on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably depressed, but it's just not my first thought of things to do.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like you're more depressed if it is. Like, I don't know. I watch like 2 shows at a time. I can't handle more than that.
Yeah.
If that.
I watch ADD comedies.
Yeah.
Things that are either small episodes within an episode or episodes that are disjointed from from the rest.
You'll catch me watching Family Guy every day because I'm a fucking trash piece of shit, or just scrolling on TikTok. But other than that, it's rough. I just don't like to think.
Yeah. Family Guy, that'll always have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
Some of the new episodes are pretty good too.
I think it's fire.
Yeah.
Everyone, rags on Family Guy. It made me who I am. All right.
It's a great show. It's really good. Honestly.
I know. I laugh a lot at it. And South Park is a little bit too critical for me. I'm like, this is too smart for me.
Mm-hmm.
Family Guy.
It's crazy how we're saying that these days. Remember when it was like really bad, and it's like
I know.
It's just too cerebral. The South Park. If you got in a time machine and said that, you'd be like, that's a good one.
I know. That's a show where I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Times they are changing.
I know.
Got a message now, and 3 current events coming together, and it's so formulaic, but it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
Good, but more like watching The Daily Show. You're like, I kind of just want to be in an incredibly alternate universe right now and don't want to watch commentary.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's doing commentary. So it's like, really do something to impress me, please, if you're going to do it.
We're all exhausted from political comedy in the last 4 years, too. It's like traumatizing.
It's traumatizing, and then the whole, half of the country doesn't believe in masks and now vaccines, and it's just more tiring than funny at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because you're just getting blasted with something you can't do anything about. It's like...
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, that's what psychologists call that learned helplessness, and it's just being like ingrained in our heads.
Yeah.
It is good to turn off the TV though, then too,
Yeah.
because it's like just, you know.
It's good to turn off the TV. It's also good to get off social media. I think we've developed like a full-time social media lifestyle right now, whereas I think it's not supposed to be like that. But a lot of us are like full-time Twitter, full-time other apps, and I think it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend that time writing, so it's like that's only going to be better than broadcasting whatever you're on a whim.
And then like piling on and canceling people for. It's bad right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see TikTokers like go down in flames for one 13-second video, and you're like, this is really scary. This is a scary place we're in right now.
That's what I keep hearing is that TikTokers are like, or I should say the comment section of TikTok is like the worst.
They're rude as hell. And I've seen, there's like this one girl who's a known body positivity, and she's not even fat. She just like has a large figure. And so today she posted, she has literally like 10 million followers. And today she posted like, this is me bloated. And all the comments were like, fuck you. You're not fat. Stop trying to be the face of the body positivity movement. And this bitch, she's literally 16, 17 years old. And I'm like, I don't think they should be on here. I don't think you should be on TikTok till you graduate college, because that's a youthful brain that will go through the ringer.
Being molded by 30-somethings who are...
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes. 30-somethings who are like, girl, you don't even know. And she's like, I still live with my parents. I don't know. You're right.
Yeah, I just learned cursive.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously.
I just learned how to drive. Back off.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it takes the human element away from like social interaction. Like that's not how people would behave. Would you say that to that person if they were in front of you, or would you approach it in a more human way?
Yeah, or even just ignore them.
Yeah.
Like if I saw her like as an ad for Hollister and the ad said like plus size, I wouldn't be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm calling Hollister.
Yeah, not at all. So I do think there's going to be like a veering away from, especially as stuff reopens. I think people will like kind of forget. There's some people who have like developed a big following on these apps, and I think once things reopen, they'll be like, wait, I actually don't care. Mm-hmm. Or I can't commit to what I was providing you during the quarantine.
Yeah, I mean, she's just posting that because she feels like she has to continually post content.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be good. Like, oh, I'm bloated. My followers will care about this. And then turns out now they hate you. What?
It's so bad. And of course, like, if you see other people post, you feel like you have to. And then there's other videos that are like, the algorithm favors you if you post a lot more. And so these young people are like, oh, I got to be on there constantly. And I'm like, I could not give a fuck about the algorithm. I am almost 30.
Right.
And so.
Do you post to TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. Not frequently, maybe a couple times a week now. Although now that I'm doing stand-up, I'm like, I have no, but I post like more podcast clips there now, but it was fun for a second while there was like no stand-up during the winter. But now that I'm in front of audiences, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got into it. I posted like maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like I have a bunch of old snaps that I saved that might be something like that I still think are funny. So maybe I'll like edit those, but I'm not going to be like, ooh, this is perfect for TikTok. Like
definitely. It's hard when we perform live because it's not the same at all. And some people are really good at little videos, and you have to be like, all right, I have different strengths than they do, and not be like, oh, I have to do my little, this is my impression of my dad at a cookout. You don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to do it.
Right. I like what is it called? Stitching or whatever, or where you like comment on another video. There's like the split screen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is that what that's called? I don't know what it's called. Okay.
Yeah, I want to do it.
God, now I sound like these kids.
I know.
But Mike Racine was like responding to like girls asking guys questions, and he had one where everything was based around Lord of the Rings.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
what's the perfect date? A trip to New Zealand to go see where they filmed The Hobbit. And then
So dumb.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah. He's
So
got the
dumb.
mustache now, so it's even
Yeah,
it just adds to the humor of it.
that's great. He's
Yeah.
such a freak.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like but it's just a matter of taking the time and doing it. Commitment again. Like
Yeah, commitment, or even like thinking of the stupidest idea you have and doing it, and then moving on. Because I think a lot of the social media stuff, if you jump on the idea right away, you can get rid of it. But if you let it sit, you'll be like, nah, it's stupid now after 2 days. If you just think of like the stupidest idea and film it,
right.
boil it down to like the funniest, quickest way you can make it, that'll save you humiliation if it bombs.
Yeah.
The least work you can put into anything in terms of social media will be the best for your self-esteem.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had that conversation before. It's always the tweet that you sit with for too long that you think is going to be like your masterpiece, and it's like 6 likes.
No.
David, you noticed and it might help me if I did, but I'm never that guy that's like, hey, hey, everybody, how are you doing? Like, I never post selfies, none of that shit. It's just so self-indulgent. I just can't do it.
It's self-indulgent. I have an Instagram following from Wildin' Out, so I have to stay engaged with them.
Yeah, that makes sense, though.
When I do it, I'm like, literally, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because I like engage with people through my stories and stuff like that, but it is very like, I didn't get into stand-up to do this. And but you understand the costs of some stuff that happens in the reality of having to be on social media.
Right.
But it is humiliating.
Yeah, it's the world we live in. And, one of my, have like a coach, and she was like, what if you spent less time on social media? And I was like, but I can't. Like, it's for my career. But I really could just do like, what do you have to post today? And that's it. And it's like, once I get on there to do that, like I'll have a goal, I'll have a plan, whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, I'm like, what am I doing?
So bad. It's so bad. We have to train ourselves to post and walk away, and to turn our phones back into like landlines. But right now it's just like everything, and they have an app for everything. And when you're not on it for a while, they notify you, and it's like check out Stuart's new photo, and you're like, what the fuck? I can't escape.
It's like an Applebee's. You ever go? I drove past an Applebee's today, and it said above the door, it said, "Welcome back."
Oh my god!
And I was like, "What? Welcome back?" This is
I ain't never been here.
That's a cult. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Applebee's cult. Oh.
I'd rather go to Applebee's than be on social media.
Right. It's less toxic. Well, is it less toxic?
In different ways.
Yes. Different ways.
Yeah.
Different ways, but they do got those 2-for-1 appetizers, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the late night appetizers.
Yeah.
I just want to know the person who sees that welcome back and is like, yeah. Finally.
There's a couple of them.
Welcome back home.
Yeah.
What if it said welcome back home?
To the neighborhood.
Yeah. Welcome
back
to
the neighborhood.
Yeah. There's a community here.
Oh man.
It's like
that's what I want to role play, an Applebee's fajita coming out to the bedroom.
Sizzling, yeah.
Does Applebee's do DoorDash, and does the fajita arrive sizzling still?
I don't know.
It better.
I want to say no.
You'll find out on Yelp. I know that.
I bet. Dude.
It wasn't sizzling.
If you really want to entertain yourself, read Yelp reviews of like Olive Garden and Applebee's and Red Lobster and Fridays. Like,
I want unlimited breadsticks delivered to my
Corral.
house.
Yes.
You can't do that. That's when you spoon feed the audience. You're like, you can't do that. And that's what's funny about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, does ordering Olive Garden to go, does somebody come and crank the cheese onto my salad till I tell them to stop? Like, I need the power.
I just dump it under the table.
You crossed the line.
If you were to give a comic advice, if they're struggling with the idea of committing, like if they're like if they have something that's almost there, but they just need to commit, is there a piece of advice that you would get them to lean forward a little bit more?
I don't know. Practice at home, probably. A lot of us are going on stage and saying it for the first time on stage, which I don't think helps. I think practice at home. And there was one, actually, I forgot about this joke. I did like a holiday album recording, like a couple tracks on a Sirius XM album for a club. And I had an act out that was like divorced parents on Christmas with sports commentary. And I had to be like Joe Buck doing sports commentary and stuff like that. And that was really hard. And I think I brought word for word what the script was going to be on stage. And I read off my phone. So if it's like if there's a lot of lines back and forth, literally just like read it off your phone. Like keep the mic in the stand and like act it out, but just do like the characters, but don't move at all. I think just getting the lines down first and seeing if those are funny before you even get any body movement in is very helpful. Because then you can start doing like the microphone and blah, blah, or the pizza and stuff. But until the lines are funny, it's going to be hard to commit.
Right.
Act out stuff, I think it's good to take it like one step by step if you're not an act out comic. So start by making sure each line is funny.
I'm the guy that like won't commit to an act out and then just give up. And that's why I don't do them, because that is a bad moment in your set.
It's a bad moment. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I think definitely like thinking of it less like an act out and more like a line in your set and making sure it's funny will help.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, like if you're ever in a play or something, you don't just get on stage and do it. You read through the script. You run lines together. You do the blocking with the script in hand, and then when you're eventually off book, you can work in the little mannerisms, and then like the more and more you do that.
Remember when that was hard?
Yeah,
it was hard.
It was, but once you got it down and got like the little manner, and then you'd get those little notes from the director, like raise an eyebrow here, or do this with your hand, or hold the pizza.
Right.
Then it really takes on a life of its own, and you can really work out those small little kinks.
Yeah, I agree. I really think it's about like lines first, and then like movement, and then face, and then timing.
If it's something where memorization is important, where like the line has to be said a certain way at a certain time, like back and forth, I think that's a good point. It's okay to take your phone on the stage until you get it down.
Read it word for word. The first time I did the commentary one, I was like, I'm trying to see if this is funny. I never said it before, so laugh where it's funny and then don't. And if they know, that's fine too.
Yeah. We're
all very like holy when it comes to like, I got my shit memorized. But if you just like pull out your phone and you're like, here's something and I'm going to read it and fuck y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to know if this dialogue is funny. Then they'll be like, oh, so we're like a focus group. And I think they'll actually listen more.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like they have a role in it.
Yeah.
Again,
it helped for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Giving your audience credit.
Yeah.
Again, that's a good little trick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, because and again, at open mics, like I would rather see you get on stage with your phone or a piece of paper and read it off and then do it again and again and again. And then all of a sudden you don't have your phone and you're doing it. And now you've added like more layers to it. And then that finished product for me, we have a smaller, obviously we're not New York, we have a smaller scene. So a lot of the people will be at the same open mics. And if after like a month of seeing a progression from script on stage to like final product, that's like rewarding to me. It's almost like I get the payoff as an audience member.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh. Yeah.
It's good to see people progress and like knowing it's new. And if you laughed at it once, it'll probably be funny. At some point, it's just about like delivery and usually the audience doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about if the first time you say an idea and they don't laugh. You have to just like reword. It's pretty much like explanation that we mess up on.
Yeah, figure it out. Yeah, there have been a couple premises where I'm like, oh, this is great. And then I say it on stage. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not great. And then I listen back and it's like, no, David, you just messed it up.
Yeah. Exactly.
You were clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Maddy, where can we find you on social media? And do you have anything that you're working on? Anything that you want to plug? This will come out in about a month.
Okay, cool. Yeah, more. I'm so Maddy Smith on all the platforms. And then check out my podcast, That Time of the Week with Maddy Smith. It's really funny. And it comes out every Monday on all the pod platforms and every Sunday on my Patreon, patreon.com/Maddy Smith. Full video episode there too.
So when you finish listening to this episode of You Can't Laugh at That, check it out, because we drop on Mondays too. So
perfect.
So back to back. It's just get all your comedy fix in together at once.
Yes.
Cool.
Get your fix.
Absolutely. Well, Maddy, I want to thank you for joining this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
And helping us prove that even though, so you might be a little bit nervous to do it at first, if you commit, whether it's a bit about role playing or you're actually role playing or anything else, you can laugh at that.